Hi everyone, this is Zohra, the guilt-free cook, and you're watching Guilt-Free Cooking. So, ever wondered how you can make a chocolate cake that was delicious, moist, and decadent, and yet healthy? Well, today we are going to do just that. Today I'm sharing with you a chocolate cake that has a chocolate filling, and then it's covered with a silky, dark chocolate ganache. So let's get started. Let's preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius. To start off with, in this bowl, I have 1 3/4 cup of oat flour. To this, I'm going to add half a cup of coconut flour. So we use coconut flour here. It's a very important ingredient because there's no gluten in this cake. So coconut helps absorb the extra moisture. Now we add 1 cup of coconut sugar, 1 cup of erythanol. You can use a sweetener of your choice like Truvia, that's fine. But just make sure, because each sweetener has slightly different taste in terms of sweetness. Then we add 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. Now, it's a chocolate cake, so of course we need chocolate. So for that we are using cocoa. So half a cup of cocoa powder. Now, when you're using cocoa powder, you know cocoa powder can be a bit lumpy. So always sift it into the ingredient. It's totally worth this step. Okay, so let's just put in the half cup of cocoa powder. And then we're going to sift it in. Now let's give the dry mixture a good mix so everything is mixed well together. And one more thing, guys, when using cocoa powder, you really need to use the best quality. Organic is really good, or something which is, top of the line, yeah, because it's a chocolate cake after all. So we mix this, we move this to the side, and let's work with our wet ingredients. So we're gonna put in 2 eggs, room temperature. We always use room temperature eggs in baking because, it helps incorporate the batter better and the mixture is less lumpy and the end result is great. To this we are going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup buttermilk, and 1 cup of coffee, room temperature, and finally half a cup of applesauce. We are using this instead of butter or oil because it reduces the calories down, so we put that in. So there we have all our wet ingredients. Then we give them a nice whisk. So now what I really like about this recipe is you don't need any sort of blender. You can use the good old whisk. So now let's mix the ingredients together. So here we have all the dry ingredients that I talked about earlier. And to this, we're going to add in the wet ingredients. So you put in a little bit at a time so it incorporates well. So this is the last bit. So now we put it in and we mix it in nicely. Guys, remember when you are mixing your ingredients in, so folding in your flour, you don't want to over whisk it. You want it to be light and fluffy and airy. So just mix till it's well incorporated. So finally just folding everything in properly again, and look at that gorgeous batter. Now we are going to pour this batter into 2 8-inch cake pans. They have been lightly greased and have baking paper just to help it come out easily. And we will try and pour it in as evenly as possible so that both the layers are roughly the same size. Now let's put these 2 babies in the oven and let it bake between 30 to 35 minutes until they're cooked. So now while the cake is baking, we are going to start with the chocolate filling. So we're going to put in half a cup of full fat milk, half a cup of cocoa powder, 4 tablespoons coconut sugar, and 1/4 cup erythanol. Again, any sweetener of your choice. Then mix it in. and wait for it to come to a boil. So once it's bubbling, we need to thicken this up because it's a filling. So here we have 1 tablespoon of corn flour mixed in a little bit of water. But we are not going to add all of it at one time. We are going to slowly add to get to the desired consistency that we need. So I'm putting all of it because it's not reached my desired consistency. And then we mix it up really nicely. So you'll have something that resembles this texture. See, it's thick, easy to fill. And then we let it cool, and then we're going to fill the cake in once it's ready. Now for the final step, let's make the chocolate ganache. For the chocolate ganache, you will need 60 grams of dark chocolate. We need to use good chocolate, 70%. If you can get unsweetened, it's better. And make sure that it is 70% because that's what gets the taste in here. So we're going to put that. To that, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of milk. And then we need some icing sugar. So instead of using normal icing sugar, I'm using monk fruit sweetener icing sugar because you need to make sure it's in powder form because it mixes better. So we're going to mix it all in. Now we're going to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Now every microwave is different. So you put in 30 seconds at a time. Mix it, check on it. You don't want the chocolate to burn. After 30 seconds, let's have a look. Give it a good mix, and look at this. Look at the gloss, it's gorgeous. And the cakes are out of the oven. Wow, look at those gorgeous cakes. Now we're gonna let them cool, after which we're gonna ice them, slice them, and of course, have a little taste. Now the cakes are cooled and ready to be iced. So let's start. So you're gonna use the back side of each cake, because the back side, as you can see, is much straighter. That's the first one. And then we're going to start with the cocoa filling. Now, guys, it's not important to be using the cocoa filling. You could easily double your ganache recipe, or you could forget the ganache and double your cocoa filling recipe. The reason I've used 2 is because, this cocoa filling recipe has a lot less calories. So it reduces the calories per slice significantly, yeah? So here we go. We start with icing the cake with the filling first. If your filling gets a little bit thick, you can always add a little bit of milk. We take the other cake. We flip that one over as well. Now, for the ganache. We're just going to top it with ganache, but my ganache has gone a little bit thick. I want it slightly thinner, so I'm going to add a little bit of milk. You can add little at a time so that it doesn't thin down too much. And then give it a nice mix. It's still a little thick. I'm going to add a little bit more milk. And then give it another mix. So once the ganache is poured over, there you go. Now let's cut into it. And it's time to taste this baby. Look at that. Look at that slice of cake. How moist and nice it looks, and it's fudgy. Let's take a bite. Let's see how it tastes. I tell you guys, this is phenomenal. I can't even tell it's a healthy option. It just tastes as good as the original. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the recipe, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.